what I will try to do today is, we've heard a lot how the fourth industrial revolution has affected our lives in every sense, and how does public opinion react to this? What are the opinions and feelings and emotions of the citizens in different parts of the world regarding robotics and artificial intelligence? So what we see is that there are quite ambivalent results, in the sense of ambivalent attitudes to the technological revolution. On the first hand, we have 7 out of 10 who think that the world is better as a result of science and technology. This information comes from the World Value Study. And also a similar percentage believe that it will make our lives healthier, easier, and more comfortable. Yet, only 5 in 10 believe that it's important in the daily life to have notions of technology on a worldwide basis. What is the impact in the next 15 years, according to public opinion, of the technological innovation? In which areas do they believe it will have a positive impact? Mostly, it's in medical care and in action against climate change. But there are more doubts regarding reduction of inequalities and adaptation to aging population. Now, regarding the future, in specific items, we asked the people if they would if they think that they are good for the future. That robots take care of the sick and the elderly, 32% think it's a good thing. Self-driving automobiles, 23%. And small flying devices that carry goods, 23%. And only 8% think that artificial meat is a good thing. Regarding willingness to perform certain activities, we did with the International Development Bank a study in Argentina on millennials, and we found that only 26% were willing to ride a vehicle driven by a robot, only 18 being operated by a doctor remotely, 17 eating artificial meat, and 16 being operated only by a robot. So we see that there is a lot of fear. Regarding expectations to the future, again, yes, it's health and medical care, education, and environment which are best rated. But reduction of inequalities, there is a lot of doubt about that. There is a very interesting study done by the European Commission in the Eurobarometer, a qualitative study in 15 countries with group discussions in which they addressed this thematic in a very profound way. And what we find is that there were optimistic and pessimistic views. This ambivalence is seen. Kind of that the ideal scenario would be one where these scientific and technological activities are designed to help people in critical areas, say like providing support with disabilities and elderly people, ensuring more safety and energy saving without being invasive or substituting human beings completely. They imagine life will be simpler, better, faster, and healthier, more respectful of the environment, where a large number of devices and appliances will lead to an extended automation of everyday life. So then people would have more time to socialize, dedicate time to pleasant activities and travel. And they also believe that life expectancy will increase because of robotics and AI as the ideal scenario. But there are fears. Machines would replace human beings, making people submissive and passive, taking away their privacy without any benefits provided in exchange, and creating social isolation and total dependence on technology, more control over people with less freedom, greater work automation resulting in unemployment and loss of jobs. Also, a bigger gap expected between the rich and the poor, as people will have unequal access to scientific and technological innovation as well as to its benefits. The most feared aspect is the lack of control, technology dependence, full automation, no invoicing control, for example, lack of human contact and privacy, and unemployment. Social media networks and how they affect the human relations field. If we take the Latino Barometer to take my region, we see that the use of of social media is greatly expanded in some countries and not so much in others. Say 38% in Nicaragua, 8 out of 10 in Costa Rica. And in the region, those who use social media tend to use basically Facebook, WhatsApp, and YouTube. But 35 don't use social media at all. There are very big differences regarding age and socioeconomic level. To take an example, while 81% in Latin America use Facebook between those who are between 18 and 24, only 10% who are over 65. And in the whole region that doesn't use any social media, only 12% of the youngest, but 80% of 16 and over. And we find also great differences by socioeconomic level. 5 in 10 in the lower classes don't use any of this. The same thing, there is a tendency to think that it's easier to meet people on the internet than in person. But this is valid mostly for the younger than for the advanced ages. Now, a very important issue is the role of new technologies in social relations. People tend to believe that technologies serve to keep more contact with friends, especially relatives that are far away, and that you can make new bonds. It allows to have more friends, more bonds. But opinions are more divided when it comes to making real friends, generating strong bonds. An important issue has to do with the application of apps. We find that people fear a lot using apps. Say 42% feel uncomfortable when they request apps that request personal data. Only 19% say they have no problem with this. Even though there are differences by country, we can see that all over there is this problem that 8 out of 10 people in the world perceive this request. Now, the digital environment on politics. It's very important to know how people inform themselves. People tend to use internet a lot to inform themselves. And basically, online newspapers and Facebook. Facebook is really very popular all over. Regarding the quality of social media versus traditional media, there are divided opinions. People tend to think that it's more or less the same. But if we look at the trends, and this is 28 countries around the world, a barometer on trust that runs since 2012 up to now, we find that trust on traditional and online journalism is growing, whilst trust in search engines and online platforms is coming down. This is new data that is coming from Gallup International, which is going to be published in the coming months, that has to do with fake news. How often do people believe that they come across news or information that they believe misrepresents reality or is even false? And we find that 35% say globally that they receive this fake news almost every day. 20% at least once a month, and 21% several times a month. Only 14% say that seldom or never. Even though there are variations according to countries that you have there, say, for example, countries as Hungary, Ukraine, Spain, Armenia, Albania, Argentina, my country, and Turkey lead the ranking. And conversely, countries like Japan, Russia, Korea, Vietnam, and Pakistan are countries where citizens report fake news less frequently. A lot is being written regarding participation and how participation is coming down. And if social media helps participation, or on the contrary, it doesn't. From our studies, what we see is that social media mobilizes people who would traditionally not necessarily would participate otherwise. So it brings more participation. In this sense, we find, for example, in the Americas, covering all the region, that 38% in the past 12 months posted comments on social or political matters in a social platform or political platform. And 36% became a friend or a follower of a politician in a social media platform. 27% posted comments on political news in a newspaper. 21% joined a political group or social cause in a social media platform. And 90%, 2 out of 10, attended a protest demonstration organized via social media platforms. Now, regarding work, what we find is that, say, around Latin America, people tend to think that robots and artificial intelligence will destroy jobs instead of creating new ones. 72% think that. And that science and technology will put our jobs at risk, 77%. But when it comes to people already working to their own job, only 30% believe that they will lose, that there is a risk of losing their job in the next 10 years because of automation. The interesting thing is that those who think more of this are the lower classes, those who are less educated, and the younger. This is an important issue because really in the least educated and poorest people, jobs are more automated, and they are more conscious of the possibility of losing their job. So there is a big effort to be done there to see how this problem will be solved. We can speak of education, and of course that's the basis, the most important issue, but at the same time, that takes time. So in the short run, we must be educating and doing something that could be a salary income for everyone. But at the same time, we mustn't forget that well-being is related to work, not only in terms of money, which is absolutely necessary, but in terms of purpose, of meaning, of life, of a sense of receiving and giving through work. Well, there are differences, but really the fear is not that high in any of the countries. We don't have time to have a look at this. Now, People tend to think that internet increases people's commitment towards social issues. And this is more true in North America than in Latin America. In North America, 7 out of 10 think this. But in Latin America, opinions are more divided. It's 4 in 10. And something similar occurs with internet empowering citizens. There is a majority in the Americas who says this is the case, but it's basically in North America more than in Latin America. But the opinions are divided in everywhere in the sense of whether internet reduces inequalities between rich and poor. This is a very big issue that we need to address also, because inequality, as we all know, is expanding all over the world in a very critical way, non-stopping, and it doesn't look as if through robotics and artificial intelligence, unless we do something, it will be stopped. So we could say that in general, and this is a Pew study, people tend to be more worried than enthusiastic about robotics and artificial intelligence. 73 are worried, while 33 define themselves as enthusiastic. Robotics and health. We find citizens tell us that they find positive impacts and negative impacts. Among the positive is better preventive medicine and disease diagnosis, better disease treatments, new discoveries, drugs, vaccines, etc. In the negative, they speak a lot about the genetic issues, cloning, new ethical dilemmas, and the impact of technical innovations on public health and on citizens. In general, we find that 53 say that they are happy if AI supports doctors, but don't want to see them fully replaced. People, only 7%, a study in 40 countries globally, say that they are happy if artificial intelligence fully replaces doctors' tasks. So, in general, people tend to accept AI as something positive only if it's supported by doctors and the relation with the doctor is not lost. Thinking about the future, would you be willing to be operated by a robot? Again, 81% say no, they are scared. And be operated only by a doctor remotely? No, either. So, we come to the conclusions. How does robotics impact the human perceptions? The benefits of the technological advancements are worldwide recognized. The largest expectations are on improving health and on climate change. And creating jobs, some people think also, though it's more ambivalent there. In an ideal scenario, robotics are seen to be designed to assist people, ensuring greater safety, but not replacing human beings completely. The benefits would aim at facilitating and improving our lives while protecting the environment. Yet there are certain aspects that are really feared, and it's basically the lack of control. Dependency of technology, full automation, lack of human contact and privacy, and unemployment. Regarding human relations and politics, opinions are divided regarding the contribution of social media to improve communications between people. There is a strong consensus that new technologies serve to bring people closer and to create new friendships. However, these bonds will not have the strength or profoundness of those generated face-to-face. Social media is a key source of political and social information. However, many people around the world 8 out of 10 think that they receive some type of fake information or fake news at least once a month. And this is something that is very worrying, because the trust in information, in this type of information, is coming down. There is a Pew study also that is very interesting, done with, in the United States with more than 1 million tweets. And they estimated that 2/3 of the links tweeted and directed to popular news websites and communication media, 66% are posted by automated accounts, while about 1/3, 34% of them, are posted by human accounts. In sum, a relative small number of highly active robots seem to be responsible of routing of many of these links. These are things that make people a bit fearless. Political activism in social media has become a widespread practice. The use of internet can mobilize new people to participate politically, modifying the logic of participation, although through the mobilization of individuals, a new group who had so far been in the margins of the participatory process. So then, artificial intelligence, as we've heard in the meeting of yesterday and today, for public opinion, for the citizens of the world, arouse positive and negative, resistance and fear also. 7 out of 10 in Latin America believe that they will destroy jobs instead of creating new ones, and that science will put our jobs at risk. There is a tendency to think that internet increases people's commitments towards social issues and empowers citizens, which is good. But opinions are more skeptical whether it will reduce inequality between rich and poor. Machines doing many of the human jobs. Healthcare is an example, a clear one, of where human beings, though the advancements that are recognized for the health are irreplaceable. Acceptance of artificial intelligence increases as a support to human actions, but without replacing it. In sum, the question that constantly underlies the analysis of the impact of artificial intelligence on the social political sphere in the new area is, what values do we wish to build out our societies on? We require a human dialogue. I think what we are doing here now is an advancement, and it's critical, and it must be multi-stakeholder-based. A big collaborative effort, including government, business, academia, civil society, everyone, to ensure that artificial intelligence progresses, its future, it's aligned to human values, and that is safe for humanity in all respects, its people and their planet. And to close, because I've studied during quite some time happiness and what is happiness related to, I am quite positive about robotics and artificial intelligence in many senses. But one of the biggest worries I have has to do with the fact that happiness is very related all over. The first cause of happiness is interpersonal relations. So that how we relate to our family, friends, to our community. And in that sense, it's difficult to see how an eye-to-eye connection, a hug, can be replaced by a robot. So we must take care that this eye-to-eye connection, that this interhuman relation with feelings and emotions stay with us in advancement of the robots. Thank you.